and even if you were to have like a prompt of 10 different things, right? Like say if you had one prompt of like, oh, like here's 10 different personality traits, here's 10 different superpowers, here's 10 different drawbacks.
I like coming up with random list of powers and then just see what I come up with.
Imagine rolling just those things every single time. It's always going to vary. The possibility of that happening is, again, like a 1 in 10 chance, but it's like, it shows that there's an infinite possibility.
Always something else cool right around the corner that we can come up with, because there's no end to the prompts. There's no end to what we can roll up.
Now we're going to be officially rolling for superpowers. This is usually the make or break.
Roll for hero.
I am totally professional in such a thing. I was totally. Oh my gosh, we were scrambling. Heyo and hello everybody. It's me, your weird Uncle E, with my beautifully bald-headed co-host. You know him, you love him, everyone's favorite Uncle Fishy. And welcome everybody to Roll for Hero, a segment of our channels in which we let the dice dictate what the heck we're going to be drawing in this session. I am excited as per usual. I always love a good old Roll for Hero. I love, the Wednesday coming up, and because we never really know what the heck we're going to be drawing. We're never really understanding what's going on. But listen, I have been yapping for a bit too much. So how about, Mr. Fish, how about you tell them like what has been going on since the last time we have been here on Roll for Hero? I mean, we also had our first, what's it called? We had our very first, guest yesterday.
Yes, we did.
Not yesterday, last week.
Last week. It all runs together, baby. Last week we had Mog Bark on, amazing artist, good friend of mine. I've been on her show, Sketch Up with Mog and Mel 1,000 times. It was good to have her over here playing around with us with our creativity and our weirdness. Last time we were rolling up monsters. We've been busy. Things look different on my end, and I apologize because I just got back from a con and I hauled all of my filming equipment and stuff across the country to Ohio so that we could do the show live from Ohio and on Friday night. And then I forgot to take it out of the car, and my wife took it to work in Little Rock today. So I'm having to scramble and make stuff work. But you know what? We roll with the punches around here. Maybe it's a little dark, and maybe it's a different camera. And, maybe I don't have the Tower Grayskull with its own camera today. But my buddy, Weird Uncle E, has us covered. He's got his dice tower ready to go. So we're going to be good to go. And speaking of, last week we rolled up monsters for the first time. You think we're ready to check out what we came up with last week?
I'm definitely ready to see what we got.
All right, let's check it out in Whoops. Okay. That's not the monster. That's the ugly. There's the monster.
There we go. I still got to get used to these directions. Anyways, this is my hideous abomination of a creature that I simply call the Glob. Totally an original idea. I'm not going to lie. Last week, though it was fun, I was and wasn't there at the same time. Like, I just thought, like, again, the prompt from last week, which I happen to have here, is a twisted experiment gone wrong, who is an amorphous slime or an ooze adjacent kind of a creature, the size of a kaiju who has poisonous or venomous-like disease abilities and such, and its arrogance, it's its own little weakness, and of course it is a hive mind, or it's part of some kind of a collective. So for me, my collective thought was making this like a giant green slime-like monster with numerous eyes looking everywhere. And again, the size of a kaiju, has all these buildings eating itself, like getting in on it and all that kind of stuff. Even tried drawing some rubble. Tried incorporating like a toxic colored kind of a cloud. Realistically, I probably should have done a different color because green was just generic. I was going to go for a darker yellow, but it ended up looking like poop. So, wanted to kind of avoid that because, I mean, I tried a different color. But
especially with the yellow eyes looking like corn. It's pattern recognition. That's one of the things we talk about. There's certain things that are quickly recognized as friendly or dangerous or muscular or skinny. And
Yeah.
brown with yellow dots is quickly recognized.
It was not in my favor. I should have just added like more, I guess, just brighter colors. Again, we were even talking about like nature, for instance. We were talking about like how realistically, animals see in a different color perspective. Like tigers to us are orange, but to an animal, it's a different color. So I should have done this in a bright pink or maybe a blue or something neon to indicate the level of toxicity that this thing was emitting. But I tried playing that with like the toxic breath coming out of its mouth and whatnot. And again, playing with slime. This was actually, I think, like the third time I ended up playing with a slime adjacent character, because I do have like an original villain named Toxicon, which honestly I should have named it this. But I mean, Toxicon's for my own original project. But yeah, this is more or less what I ended up coming with. This is the kaiju level of a green slime. It feels like something straight out of a Saturday morning cartoon kind of a thing, more than anything else. And I enjoy it for what it is. But I was and I wasn't there at the same time, because
good idea.
We were doing that for the glow. Or hold on, let me read that comment there. Oh, but hey, let me see. For the glow, cloud bright neon blue like the stone. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Or I was thinking like the neon blue and reds and stuff on like tree frogs, poisonous frogs and stuff. Like there's some other ways you could have gone. But then again, you got to be careful, because like red and green is going to read Christmas. You got to be careful how you do it, because it could read as the Christmas tree monster that attacked too. Again, pattern recognition, that's got to be careful. Sometimes it has its unintended consequences. And let's see which way. There we go. That is my monstrosity I came up with, Decay. I was really intrigued by the idea of it being, toxic and poisonous and all this stuff, and it being a hive mind, because originally what I was hoping to get was like a hive mind creature where I could design like a whole bunch of little somethings like ants or critters from the movie.
Mind if I put myself on mute? Sorry about that. Mind if I put myself on mute real quick? Fiance's calling right now.
Yeah, go nuts, man. Do what you got to do. So I was really excited about the hive mind idea, but then the amorphous blob and disease, that all threw me for a loop, until I started thinking about it from the angle of, what if this is a whole lot of diseases and things working together? What if this is one sentient group of disease and tumors and cancers and all of these things, poisons and toxins and mushrooms and things that will, everything that will cause death and decay working together? And I loved it once I got into that idea. And then I also got to play around with like the different shape languages and stuff of like, I was honestly thinking along the lines of like coral reefs and stuff, and the different shapes and layers and levels and stuff that they have, wanting to make sure that this looked interesting, and then applying that to the mushroom shapes. But I think it came out pretty cool in the end, and he came out very gross. Again, I think like Esteban, I think I could have taken another pass at the colors and come up with something I liked a little better. I love the dull green look of all the eyes on him. I think and I kind of like the sickening pale purpley pink of the blisters on him, but I think the rest of him needs to be a different tone or shade or something.
Yeah. I mean, I will say though, I am very envious of the fact that you decided to go more on the like kaiju, or like the more like actual blobby amorphous, like really diving into the like disgusting aspects of this monster. Because again, I really wish I can. Well, it's gonna take me some time to get there at some point, but I know that drawing something like this is not like a really easy thing. But for you, this was like a cakewalk, because this looks just
this pushed me way out of my comfort zone too, though. Like, this is not the kind of thing I normally draw, and so it pushed me out of my comfort zone. But I do like oh my goodness gracious! Hold on one second. Let me. Oh man, I'm telling you. This is a day. This is a day. All right, hold on. I'm gonna be right back in a second. I gotta turn this camera off for a second.
All right.
So I'll let you cover it for a second.
Gotcha. So that is his monitor though. But Yeah, but what's it called? So we were talking. So we were having more of an in-depth discussion, and last week's session was like we ended up really diving into each other's lives because Mog really definitely like just asked simple questions, and yet throughout the entire thing, we really exposed a lot about each other. Like talking about our livelihoods and all that other kind of stuff. And to think this all happened because we were drawing a toxic blob monster of sorts. And I do like Fish's rendition of this, just showing off like the pale, just nasty nature. It kind of reminds me of this potentially being in something like The Last of Us of all things. Like I feel like this could be one of like those major killer bosses and whatnot. But man, it just looks gross. It looks nasty, and that's like, funnily enough, that's one of the best things I can say about it is that it does look like that. Little did I know that when making comic art, you're like, oh, it's disgusting. We approve. Let's move it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's really interesting.
And sometimes the grosser it gets, the better. I have to be careful what I search for reference photos sometimes, because like sometimes I don't think about it and I almost search for something that I really don't want to see. And I have to catch myself at the last second and be like, do I really want to see somebody's fresh, like 3rd-degree burns? And no, I don't. I will take my best shot at what that's going to look like. I don't need any more of those images in my head. So I have to be careful and remind myself sometimes. I love the hive mind mushroom monsters. I GM a game where heroes had them fight an infestation of space hive mind mushroom zombies. It was a lot of fun. Oh, I did a real similar thing with a virus that would replicate in people's bodies in space and then take them over quickly and turn them into zombies. And the virus was piloting. It was a lot of fun.
That's actually very interesting. Oh man, it's been a while since I've done any D&D game. But man, so now we got the idea of what, at least what I ended up drawing. Now we saw what, Mr. Fish ended up drawing. So how about we actually decide, let's actually use the dice this time and do our thing.
Yeah, let's do that. I should be prepped. And I'm not, because, I'm out of practice.
I was trying to get them down here.
All right, let's...
Because I'm totally prepared for this.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hold on. You got to... all right, there we go. Now we can see it.
Okay, so a little amateurish over here. Sorry, I have a very messy desk. I mean, just not the best. But we do see the dice tower. And this isn't the Tower Grayskull, but this is, however, the all-seeing eye of heroes to come. So, Mr. Fish, we got to get our list all prepped up and whatnot. So, you mind if we... Man, we're almost in towards the end of this little book that I got going on over here. Alrighty. So, are we doing something a little different today, or are we just simply going straight to the idea of just drawing up a hero or villain?
We are going to do, one of us is going to do the hero and one of us is going to do the villain. So, first off, I say, what dice do you have in your hand? You got a 10-sided?
I got 2. Well, I mean, I got the 10-sided and a percentile.
Okay. Roll a 10-sided. I'm going to roll a 10-sided. Whoever gets high gets to pick their choice.
I very much enjoy that idea. Alrighty then. Got a 6.
Okay, you might have slightly beat my 3. So, since you just edged me out, you get to pick which one you want to do. Do you want to do the hero or the villain?
Oh, you see, I would go for the hero because I feel like that's like the most fun for me, but I need to challenge myself. So I'm going to do the villain. And I think... Or unless, because don't get me wrong.
It's okay. You won. You picked villain. I'm going to take the hero because, like you said, that's a little more out of my comfort zone. I like heroes. Fine. I love the villains. So... this is going to be a good challenge for me as well. So, all right. Uncle E, let's roll up the setting for our character.
Ooh, so what are we rolling for that one? D10 as well? This is all D10, right? Alrighty then. 5.
5 is steampunk.
Oh, steampunk again. All right.
And now we are
All
going
right.
to go to origins.
Okay, let's use a different one. Let's see if I can find another D10 in here. Come on. You found it. There we go. That's going to be numero dos, number 2.
We are a human born with our powers of. Now we need to roll for the power set.
All right, hold on.
Much like the jet set, we are going to roll for our power set.
All righty. All right, and let's use it. Well, I mean, either way, I got too many of it. We got, number 1.
We have one major power. That's going to make things a lot simpler.
Ooh.
What do you want to bet? It's elemental control.
Oh my gosh. So if it's elemental control, I'm going to go nuts. Well, wait, this is the villain or the hero?
Hey, this is, I say we are rolling up the hero. And you can take the villain whichever way you want to. It can be the same thing but twisted, or it can be the opposite. I'm going to give you free reign on your choice with that. I was going to, personally, if I got villain, I was going to do like the worst choice off of what we got. You know, like if you were a successful experiment, I was the failed experiment. If you had control over radiation, I had absolutely no control over my radiation. You know, I was going to go that route. But you are free to do whatever you want because villains don't have to play by the same rules that the heroes.
That's so true. That is so true. All righty then. So, one major power then, correct?
Yeah.
Alrighty. We have our Kraken dice over here. Numero uno. Again.
Invulnerability.
Ooh.
All right. So that could be anything from Superman to the Thing to freaking Bruce Willis in that one movie. What was it? It was in something. Anyway. All right. So we've got our power. Now we need our motivation for our hero.
All right, and the motivation is number 7.
7. Hunted by your creators.
Ooh.
That could be a really good motivation as well for our villain, who could be that creator.
This is getting interesting.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh,
all right,
well,
now optional modifier. Let's see what we get for that.
Okay. Let's see. Optional modifier. Number 1 again. Okay, I gotta really see if these dice don't break.
That's power comes from your suit again, which I'm not against, but I'm also open to a reroll if you want to. See what we.
You know what? How about we do let's do a twofer. Let's come up with 2 different options, and then we get to choose from those 2 options.
There we go.
Whoa! Hold on. Let me try that one again. 9 and 10.
Power comes from a something else, like a ghost, a symbiote, a familiar, or whatever is number 9. And number 10 is limited power. The more you use it, the faster it runs out. Ooh.
Wait, what's that last part again?
Oh my goodness. That's absolutely terrifying with invulnerability. Oh my God.
What was that second one again?
The second one is limited power. The more you use it, the faster it runs out.
Ooh.
I would much rather get my power from a symbiote ghost cat than have it run out randomly, like be on a timer, which is why I think I'm going to pick that one, because I really don't like that one. And that one scares me to my core.
All right, so just to reconfirm with everybody on what we got going on over here, we have a steampunk setting character that is human, that is born with their said powers, and the said power is invulnerability. They're haunted, or they're being hunted by their creator. And not only that, the options here is the fact that their powers come from an outside force, or their powers are limited. So depending on how much you use them, it also equals the amount of time that the power is going to run out.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting. Okay, so I'm doing the villain in this situation. Man, I really kind of wish we could switch it up, but I chose my destined fate. I need to learn how to draw villains. because I just ended up
FYI, your extra screen is showing the multi-plane of Restream instead of whatever you might want to show.
Well, because once I put this thing over my face, I can't really see you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware.
Yeah, I am. Because now I'm just kind of have to guesstimating what your reactions are, because you can be totally doing something entirely different, and I'm not really going to notice.
I could have wandered off, and Esteban's not even going to know.
Exactly.
All right. So hopefully that's giving Dadpool a long enough list to look at the minor powers of flight, body weapons, energy projection, heightened senses, acrobatics, hand-to-hand combat, modern sci-fi or ancient weaponry. Think like, the Ninja Turtles with their weapons, or, things like that. Being able to change size, change density, or magic. And now I am going to find the right screen and close that down so I can open up a page and get to work, because we have got to create to whoop Esteban's butt. Let's see.
And I have to create a villain to take down Mr. Fish's hero. Again, I really wanted to challenge myself on this one, because doing a hero would have been like the most obvious thing for me. But I'm like, I feel like I should probably do something different. So, and not only that, this is a steampunk villain that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I thought? You know what I originally thought we were going to do? I thought we were going to like have to roll two entirely separate situations here. So like maybe the setting would have been like the tone of everything, but then like we would have rolled two completely different characters. So I'm a little. So this is actually a little interesting, just now knowing that we're going to be drawing. True, but I feel like but again, roll for hero, we're supposed to challenge ourselves. So,
and that's the thing I do like.
I'm really getting myself in this mode.
Is like, I like the idea of a yin and yang hero villain. Like, like if the same event that gave one their powers turned the other into a villain. Like if, like, say there was an accidental explosion in the lab and one turns you into, Captain Atomic, and you're beautiful and you got all the powers, and the other thing turns you into like a burned Hulk. Like, you would be pretty bitter about that. Like, I think there's lots of cool opportunities to, I think there's lots of cool opportunities in that. So I wanted to challenge myself too. So I got to make a hero, and with invulnerability.
Yeah. So and then also we're being hunted down. So like what I'm thinking first and foremost, when I thought of being hunted, I instantly thought like the hunter from Jumanji.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was thinking something like that a little bit. So like doing like, obviously I'm giving this guy some goggles over here. Thinking like the typical safari hunter of sorts. But he's kind of like what we were discussing one time in your School of Fish, where we can actually subvert the expectation of what a character is supposed to look like. So, like my rendition of this character, he's a hunter. Like he's an actual hunter who was gifted with his invulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
And, he's, either being hunted down by their creator. So what if it was like we were both different creations? I followed, or like my villain followed the leader's creation, the creator's type situation, but then your character didn't. That's just my thought process.
Oh,
and then now like I
like that idea too, because I did a whole arc like that on a client's book one time, where the main hero turned out to be he was an experiment that this evil scientist did, and then they sicked another one of the creations on him. And originally it was just supposed to be another like monster of the week kind of thing, and I was like, well, I asked more little details and he had to think it up on the spot. And I was like, well, did they spend any time together? Like, did they grow up together in the tests before? Like, oh yeah, they were both in cages together for a long time before that. I was like, oh, what if it's like a brother that got left behind when your older brother left the abusive home, and and you got stuck behind, and then all of a sudden it became this deep, like angry older brother, like, why does dad always love you more kind of thing, and why did you get away and I didn't, and no matter how hard you tried to make dad happy, he never would be. And it it got rich real quick. I loved it.
That's interesting. That's already kind of getting something flowing here. I can already see this being like this I can totally see being like a potential one shot, like a one volume graphic novel story of like, two creations, one being the hero, the other being just nothing more than. And of course, when I think steampunk, I always think of the British kind. Like I see this one, and he's very much like yes, it appears that father really wants you back. I personally would rather hunt you down till the end of your days like I'm hunting down the last saber-toothed tiger. Like very very pompous, if you will.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the invulnerable aspect that's got it stuck in my head, but I'm kind of seeing like a Nebraska farm boy kind of dude that just like got given this power, who's completely out of his element and doesn't know what to do. And like I said, maybe it's the whole invulnerable Superman thing, but I kind of like the idea of just this big kid who suddenly has this power and people are hunting him, and he's like in the big city for the first time and all this stuff, and doesn't know what anything is, doesn't have any connections or any friends, and is on the run from the people that created him, but at the same time is just like a good dude, so he's gonna stop and help people when their steam powered carriage is going off the rails or whatever. Can't help but stop and help people. That's what I'm seeing.
That's actually okay. So hold on. Okay, that is interesting, but also, so you chose the idea of his powers being limited, right?
Yeah.
Like the more he uses it. Okay, so what if it was like okay, because I'm thinking of something else here, but like the idea of like my character's invulnerable. So like invulnerable meaning that like he's either super strong or is he like resilient or. Let me look up what invulnerable means because I totally know.
Well, I mean, it's along the lines of indestructible. Like, he can't be hurt, but that could be because he has steel-like skin. That could be because he's already dead. That could be because he's intangible. Like you could go different directions with it. But
okay.
I'm going along the lines of like, just like a farm boy who's suddenly been made like steel, like strong. Though, oh man of metal, that would be.
And then for me, I'm thinking about like there's also the power from an outside force, whether if it was like an ancestral thing or something else of that nature. So like maybe your character was born with these powers.
We didn't get that.
Maybe it could have been from like a
or did we? Did we get power from an outside source this time?
Well, that's the optional part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the optional part was
we got power from the soup for the first one. That's what we got. That was the first roll. The power comes from that was okay. I forgot about that.
So in this case, it's so in this optional situation, this is from an outside force. And for me, I'm thinking like, what outside force would my hunter of this, this invulnerable hunter, right? Like, what is his whole gimmick? Like, what is his situation here? Like, why is he invincible or invulnerable, if you will? And I'm thinking to myself, like, what is like the potential reasoning for it? And what is like, I guess his powers, like what outside force would cause him? Maybe this could be like a spirit, like, Ghost Rider style. This could be like the spirit of the hunt living in, my character. And because of this, because he's like one of the best hunters, now he has to catch his best prey, which would be probably your character, because we're both invulnerable. So it's like a rock hitting an immovable object. One of them is bound to break at some point.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, the whole like the power comes from a symbiote or a ghost or like some outside thing. Okay, I forgot. I was thinking of that in different terms. That's where my confusion was. But yeah, that I love that idea, especially like the spirit of the hunt idea. That that could make him have to do a lot of terrible things, and I love.
Maybe things he doesn't want to, but he has to because it's by the spirit of the
Mhm.
hunt. He is simply known for the fact
And
that
like the
he's
more
the
it takes him
immortal or
over,
the
the more he becomes that thing, and the less human he becomes. And oh man, that's got cool.
it's like, please understand this, boy, that I. It's like, please understand that this is nothing personal. I simply am doing this
I want,
for my, right, my oath, if you will.
I've got basically a Superman figure drawn here, and I'm
Oh,
honestly wondering
okay.
if I shouldn't go like skinny, but then you've got a relatively thin hunter, and I want to stand out against that. So maybe I go even a little heavier. Maybe I make him like a big farm boy, like a
Yeah, make him
cornbread
like a.
farm boy. Okay, I really like that idea now. Okay, that makes me happy.
You have skinny, and you have scrawny hunter man, and then you got beefcake,
Oh,
farmer boy. I think it's like the perfect dynamic. In a weird way, it's like a steampunk Lex Luthor and Superman, except in this case, no kryptonite.
yeah, I am absolutely loving this idea now. I I couldn't figure I couldn't get a take on it that was making me happy quickly because it felt too standard, But
Yeah.
now I've got an idea that makes him a little more unique, and I like that because
Sometimes the standard route is usually the best route because, again, simplicity is key.
yeah, but also like after you've seen so many superheroes in tights, like sometimes you want something new, and I'm loving the idea of him being a little rounder, a little softer, still big, still a big imposing guy, but not as perfect as he was.
So then now the question is, why did he get his powers? Like, what was the reason behind it? Yeah, he was born with it, but what was the reasoning as to why he was born with his powers? Do you think it could have been another different kind of outside force? Maybe like his mother being a potential alien, or maybe her mother being a supposed, like final tribe woman of an old empire of strong people or something like that. Who knows?
I don't know, man.
But that's not for me to dictate. That's for you to dictate.
It could be. I mean,
Because once we think of those factors, then I feel like that's going to dictate a lot more as to why our characters are the way that they are. Maybe my character is the spirit, like the avatar for the spirit of the hunt, but maybe the hunt could be done in different ways. Maybe there could have been a different method of hunting, but he only knows, like, my character's rendition of hunting is done in a very, the standard way of like, I have to fight and get the best predator or the best or the strongest of prey, like killing a rare elephant or a rhino or killing a saber-toothed tiger. But then, like, maybe it turns out the next best prey is some kind of animal, making him a manhunter of sorts.
oh man, I want it to tie together neatly because that's always my favorite. So like hmm oh
Or, I mean, let me kind of chuck something. Well, you got something going on here? Don't let me be the one.
It's simmering, but it ain't come to a boil yet. So if you got an idea, lay it on me.
So another potential concept that I kind of got going on here is like maybe kind of like hunting. So surprisingly enough, hunting does help out, weirdly enough, the environment. Because again, if you let one particular species, evolve and grow for too long, the other species will eventually like not, they're going to eventually die out. So to some extent, hunting can kind of equalize, the amount of like, I guess you could say maintains the homeostasis of the world in a way. And maybe that's what the spirit of the hunt is, trying to maintain the homeostasis of things, maybe getting rid of a few animals, or maybe letting some pass through, or something of that nature. Maybe, your character, though well-meaning, might be a disturbance to the equalization of nature, or, something of that kind of caliber.
I'm trying to think, like, I like the idea. My brain is trying to find a connection that would be something like the whole like totem idea with Spider-Man, and why so many of his villains are like animal based and stuff, and that tied all of Craven and everything all together into one cohesive idea, that like he was the spider totem, and that naturally brought out things to fight him, and brought out the spirit of the scorpion and the hunter and all of this stuff to try and fight. I liked the way those ideas all tied together so neatly. And I'm trying.
I mean, we could also
that would tie the spirit of the hunt in with like why he would be suddenly born and gifted with just being this big hulking dude that can't seem to be destroyed, but is also on a time limit. So why is he on a time limit? Like, what?
Why is his powers limited? Yeah. What if it was like, what if it turns out like my character's situation was that he was an avatar of the spirit of the hunt? But what if yours wasn't just the hunted, but in reality, the true hunter? One that would rely on their invulnerability at specific levels, at specific times. Maybe your character is actually supposed to be the true hunter, while mine was simply just chosen. You were born.
The huntsman, a necessary evil to keep the balance. Yeah. Or,
But then...
What if... Okay. What if they are two opposing sides of the same coin? What if he is the hunt, kill, destroy to keep the balance side of this coin, and Huck Farm Boy over here is the build up, create, nurture side to keep the balance, and they are in like constant battle with each other throughout time to see who's going to be victorious, and a new avatar gets born every so often that is the new embodiment of I am going to burn the forest down to keep peace, and even everything out, and the I am going to plant more trees to build more forests so there's enough room for everything to live kind of thing, and which would explain why he is a farm boy and is naturally like a producer, attend to the animals, a take care of everything, a feed people kind of guy. Sometimes an animal might need to be, slaughtered for food, but it's going to have the best life along the way, where this dude is like, I am going to kill the prettiest and I'm going to tear it apart and hang it from my mantle and throw the rest to the birds. That.
So they're supposed to work together, but we can go as far as to say that my character probably saw this in a really demented kind of way. Again, he is the steampunk hunter. Of course, I happen to be Ivan the Invulnerable, if you will. That's already a solid name. Ivan the Invulnerable. Come on.
That's pretty good.
That's a solid name.
Maybe Big Body gets his invulnerability from his thick fat, but runs out as he burns the fat off. I love that. Oh my god. And the hero's time limit could be a mental block, thinking or believing he can only be invulnerable for a limited time, but has to learn to be invulnerable. That's a good idea too. I kind of like the idea of like maybe this is what's been said. This is what the not Omen. This is what the prophecy has always said. There's a time limit, and and the heroes have always died at a particular time, And he's like, well, I've only got so long, so I better make the best use of it I can. And thinks that the more he uses it, the more he's running out. But in reality, like, that's a test of his faith. Like, is he the guy that's going to be willing to give everything to save the day? Is he the guy that's going to be willing to jump in front of the train to stop it, knowing that that's probably going to be the end of his invulnerability, but he needs to save the people on it, or not? And that could be the true test at the end of, is he willing to burn himself out and give it all to take care of others, and then his side wins. And in the last couple of generations, his side hasn't been brave enough to be willing to risk it all and let the other side win.
Ooh, and then maybe he's like the one to break that mental block, if you will. Maybe like in his situation, like he's like, oh well, let's see what happens. But it turns out his full faith in his ability would actually allow him that, like eventually like limiting that time limit, if you will, no longer having it, to eventually becoming something more stronger. And again, maybe these are like the spirit of the huntress, or the spirit of the hunted, or the hunter of sorts, to equalize the landscape, if you will. Like the idea of getting to equal out the landscape, but then you have one of nurture, the one of value. So then actually having to bring up life. Now, again, maybe my character is a demented hunter. Maybe, he's like the perfect kind of person to be like, oh, I can totally take this out. But he took that concept of being invulnerable and hunting things down to a whole new insane level, to where he's not even just equalizing anything. He wants to hunt down something. Again, kind of like Craven, like to kill for the thrill, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and to show how bad he is, and not about keeping balance at all. But that would be a real easy force to lose track of, to lose control of, and go crazy on, I would think. I like this guy so much more now. Now that he's a little pudgy and has those big old fat ham fists, he is a big sexy boy now, and I think he needs some freckles, because that makes him look a little bit less intimidating.
Whoa, listen, are you making a golden retriever of a farmer boy who has freckles is a touch, pudgy? My good sir, there are tons of women out there that would desire for a man of that kind of caliber. I would know. I have friends in that category.
I can only hope.
Oh, that's great. I'm just kind of doing some rough outlining here, just kind of seeing what I got. I think I made him a bit too generic. I'm trying to add some kind of a steampunk element to him. Again, I'm just more or less, I think I did pretty okay. I'm probably thinking about maybe adding something to him. Again, maybe because of the fact that he is a hunter, maybe he enhances some of his gear to help him up with that.
Oh, that would be cool.
Maybe there was some.
That would be
like, yes, I happen to obtain some of the best and finest of materials for my hunt, when in reality I do need nothing more than a knife and, well, a good... Right, it's like a rifle always tends to suffice, but a knife, ooh.
See, that's my thing. That's why I always had a problem with hunting as a kid, because to me, sitting in a tree with a rifle against a deer that's across the field seemed like cheating as a kid. I was like, now, if you give me a knife and that deer has its antlers, then that's a pretty fair matchup. I'm going to lose, but at least then it's a fair matchup. But it always bugged me. But the thought of, like, if he used steampunk tech to augment himself to be able to, like, take things out in hand-to-hand combat, that would be right up my alley. And just to make sure that Rodrigo gets his fair time in this episode, he's asking once again, are you going to do a public domain version of Jesse Custer from Preacher, which the comic is written by Garth Ennis, who wrote the Boys comic? Just want to make sure
interesting.
That he knows that we saw the comment and it was
okay, well, yeah, I given the fact that I have to cover my entire situation, Jesse from Preacher. I'm assuming that's like that's not really that's a DC adjacent story, right?
No, I think that's an independent comic.
Yeah, probably. For now, I'm only sticking with just doing some Marvel and DC knockoffs. There are some other indie works that honestly I don't know if I will do like some indie projects, yes, some definitely not, and I don't think Preacher is one of those
I
kind of
don't. I
characters.
don't think Preacher would be up your alley personally, as one that you
Yeah,
would want to do, just because we are men of faith, and I think you would have a problem with Preacher. It's a interesting story,
yeah,
and all, but it is definitely on the much darker side. And
yeah. And as it is, I already have a little brother who
I
wants to
think that would
make like
probably
a
make you
whole
uncomfortable.
faith-based dark fantasy story, which
Yeah,
I'm not against, but he kind of wants a little bit of my help here and there. So I'm like, okay. But yeah, no, it's probably not. There are some works that I could think about. Actually, if some of y'all will stick around for Friday, or at least for my whole video, I'm actually going to release a video called Concept Corner, where I'll actually talk about ideas that I always wanted to work on, but I haven't done it yet. Talk about some webtoon ideas, talk about some you notice the yet because it's always a possibility. I don't know what else to do because I'm trying to like add something to this guy. I'm trying to add the steampunky elements, but I don't think he fully needs it. I feel like for him, it's just strictly like gear, like knives and guns. I feel like would be his thing. That's as best as I can think of. I don't think in terms of design, like if what you're saying here, I don't think like sure he could probably use like the little goggle monocle thingy on his eye. Monocle, that's what it's called. That's what I meant to say. Totally meant to say that. Or maybe he could be the first one to create or develop headphones of sorts. Okay, wait, that can work. Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, so like I said, there are some characters in Marvel and some in DC that I can relatively come up with to an extent. But again, to touch on some of the public domain stuff, I'm probably gonna start posting those at least once a week because I feel like I've been kind of spoiling a lot of my people with all that fun stuff and really not getting the ability to try out newer things. So I'm gonna test out some new fun ideas, and I can't wait to dive into some newer ones and whatnot. But I'll still do some public domain stuff.
Rodrigo also asks, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars?
Ooh, see, weirdly enough, before like Secret Wars was ever announced, I had a suspicion that this would be like the next big event. And I'm like, they have to do Secret Wars. It has to be like one of the big, situations to come about, like if they don't, that's like criminal. Mm-hmm. So I was glad that they did announce it because my little fan theory brain side of me is like, yes, they announced it.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, though, I'm going to be a little suspicious just because I know that Marvel's been on this whole like track record of having pretty okay to iffy films and whatnot. So I'm excited regardless.
After Fantastic Four, but the Robert Downey Jr. aspect of Dr. Doom has me nauseous. Not that I don't think he couldn't do a good job, but I don't think it's doing the character of Doom justice. And Doom has had such a miserable experience in movies so far that I really want to see him done right one time. And he's my favorite villain, and it's really going to upset me if he's just another how do I politely want to say it?
Just hello, I'm evil kind of a thing.
Yeah, like a egotistical thing to stroke RDJ's ego and make him feel important and not left out, instead of giving the character of Doom the importance that he deserves. And maybe it's not. Maybe they have an amazing idea and it's going to blow my socks off, and I hope it does. But I'm
also hoping it does well. Yeah, I'm hoping it does good as well, because obviously Marvel has been really like on a whole stroke of like, it was basically luck at this point, because they had the formula, they created the idea of like what it means to create a whole cinematic universe, but also and again, this might be a bit of a controversial thought here, but well, as controversial as I can get. I think Marvel movies to an extent didn't ruin movies, but they have affected films in a way where it's really difficult to not just enjoy some other films and whatnot. like I guess the best case scenario is like comedy films, because nowadays, you know, some comedy films are primarily just going to be shot into like, you know, a streaming service or something else of that nature.
Oh yeah.
But now if
Not
it isn't
gonna
part of a
get
big
Good Will Hunting
blockbuster event,
again. Not for a long time, and it won't go to the movies. It'll go straight to streaming, and
exactly.
that's a shame. But the whole landscape has changed. Like between COVID and Marvel movies, like they don't want to. Nobody's going to go to the movies unless it's a major event anymore. When everybody has movie-sized screens at home that they can get for $300 now, and you can go to the bathroom anytime you want. You can pause it. Nobody yells at you about bringing in your own snacks. And like, there is no real motivation to go anymore unless it's a big, you know, blockbuster event kind of thing. And so they don't put any money or effort into the Chasing Amy's or singles or, you know, Goodwill Hunting.
Heck, Tropic Thunder, as controversial as that movie is, like Tropic
Any
Thunder.
of them, you know, any
I
of
mean, it
those
was
little things that blew up and went big, like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and you know, like all these things that nobody thought was going to be anything and ended up being, you know, big deals, were all risks that mostly they took just to get actors to do something else or whatever, you know, like encourage, okay, we'll let you make your little indie film as long as you do, you know, the next this for me. And then the little indie film blew up. But we don't get those anymore because they're not willing to risk it, because people aren't willing to go sit in the seats and get coughed on by people and whatnot.
Yeah. But other than that, though, I am a little excited, but I will kind of proceed with caution, because I understand that right now Marvel's a little bit on a teeter,
Mhm.
you know. So like, Fantastic Four is a great film. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Fantastic Four. My fiance loves that movie,
Oh yeah.
right? But obviously, I'm going to start pursuing caution with other films, because again, I don't know what to really expect from, you know, Marvel at this point.
Yeah.
So, you know, having hopes, but you know,
If Fantastic Four was the tent pole for what's coming next, that was the foundational stone, then I'm super excited. But I don't think it is, because they already had all this other stuff like Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom, unless it's a big fake out like the Mandarin was, which again really made me mad because I always liked the Mandarin. I was one weirdo that liked the Mandarin, and when they changed it and made it into just some idiot actor, I was really upset, because I was thinking maybe they had taken this weird character with the rings and actually found a way to make him seem relevant in the time, and then he's just a loser actor pretending to be a villain, and I was so mad.
oof. We don't like it when they well, then again, too, I will say, because Marvel and DC have way too many characters for their own good. That I will
Yeah.
say, you know, and I think that's also part of the main problem as to why those universes are so, I guess, just difficult to adapt to some degree. You know, because, well, I will say in Marvel's case, there's a reason why. Because when they went bankrupt, they ended up sending all their rights to different companies.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, Universal till this day has some relative rights to the Hulk. Sony, we all know what happened with Sony and Spider-Man. You know, there's so much stuff happening with that alone. You know, Avengers, I think, is still with Disney. Same thing with Iron Man. But like Fantastic Four and the X-Men are with Fox. So it's like, the fact that in terms of the Marvel universe, it's difficult for all of them to kind of stay together because of how dispersed they are into different studios.
Mhm.
You know, that's ultimately the most difficult aspect for at least Marvel's situation. Now, DC doesn't really have that excuse, so you know, they just have to stop focusing on Batman so often. Don't get me wrong, he's a cool character, but he's not that cool. There are other
He's not
cooler
the only
characters than
cool
Batman.
character they have.
Exactly. All right, they got Red Hood, they got Mr. Terrific, they have, you know, what's it called? They obviously Superman, Wonder Woman, the Green Lanterns alone are
Mhm.
already a good batch of like amazing characters to work off of, you know. Heck, Kyle Rayner, in my opinion, is one of the best ones because he's an artist and most of his constructs are based off of pop culture, which, come on, like that already can milk so many other ideas of like, oh, like let me create a giant, Godzilla or a Gundam or a, insert pop culture reference
Giant
here.
Labubu doll.
I mean, for James Gunn, exactly, a giant Labubu doll.
Like it could be a licensing nightmare, rights wise, but it could be so much fun. But then they've got so many other characters that are so far out of left field, like Constantine and Swamp Thing and freaking Mr. Miracle and all kinds of crazy characters that you could do all kinds of cool movies with. And the Superman movie set up that this is a world that I could absolutely buy a Mr. Miracle movie in and not think twice about it,
And that's actually the one thing that James Gunn has like mentioned in his whole universe is that in his universe, like, there's a lot of things happening, and the best part about it is that every movie is going to feel like a lived-in project of some kind. Heck, the Clayface movie to an extent that's coming out at some point. I mean, the Clayface movie is going to establish the fact that there is a Batman, just, we're still trying to figure out which one because Robert Pattinson's Batman's okay, but it's just, there's just the whole situation with Batman. I feel like the situation with Batman is also something similar to like the Spider-Man situation with the MCU and also like having it as its own series of solo films or whatever. Because I know that Robert Pattinson's Batman's a whole thing. I know that, like Spider-Man's whole ordeal is a, different ballgame and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, also let's think about it this way. The Flash. I mean, obviously, I didn't see the Flash movie for, just for the sake of the actor, because I know that he did horrible things. And I didn't go see it. But I mean, The Flash could have been like the movie that really could have been like. The Flash is also another interesting character.
Oh, yeah. I love
it. Again, better than Batman.
I so wish they would have just took Grant Gustin and made him the movie Flash. Just make him a different universe variant version of him. And I would have been a happy camper because I think he did a good job. The show got goofy after a while, but he did a good job, and I really liked it. But nobody asked me, and that's really the problem. That's where they keep making their mistakes. Nobody's asking me because I know all and bees all. Yeah, but yeah, I think the Flash movie was okay. I mean, it wasn't great, and some parts were goofy, but overall, I liked it. I don't think it was terrible, but if you weren't going to like it, you weren't going to like it, period. So, nothing I say is going to change that. And a lot of people just weren't going to like it just because. And that bugs me. Like, nobody will give anything a chance anymore on its own merits. It's always, oh, this is woke or this is whatever. Nobody is ever going to just give something a chance and see it for themselves. They have to have somebody tell them what their opinion is before they see it. And that is just always going to bug me.
That's true. And I will say, I think for me it's just the Ezra problem or the Ezra Miller. That's my only problem with the films that they allowed him to still keep his role.
Yeah.
As the Flash.
And he had proven he was
recasted, but
or they were toxic mess long before they got anything filmed, and then they just kept going because you don't get rid of toxic people. They're too powerful. And then all of a sudden everything changed. Like, oh, we should have got rid of him. But,
yeah,
too late by then. And that was a big waste of time on their part and money.
Oh, yeah.
And it had so much cool stuff in it too. Like the whole stuff with Batman and all was neat. It just would have been so much cooler if it didn't have Ezra in it being stupid. And I liked the take on the Flash being like super hyper and maybe a little autistic. I liked that take. Like that made him interesting and relatable and fallible, when he's so powerful. But yeah, they just poo-pooed it.
I feel like he definitely has like that little Spider-Man like quality. I remember there's this guy on TikTok who kind of like gaslights the entirety of the internet, thinking that, oh, like, man, I went to go see that Justice League movie, but he actually like photoshops or he like edits some like scenes from the Avengers films to make them look like Justice League or like DC related characters. And then he talks about like Marvel movies, like how we talk about DC films. So, like living in an alternate world where DC was actually the better franchise in comparison to Marvel and whatnot.
I can dig it. That's good.
But also, like, I will say though, Flash does have like a Spider-Man like quality to him. He's a really likable hero. He's one that everyone can recognize instantly. So I'm not against the idea of like, Flash being the. Well, I mean, heck, there's an entire movie and series that was based off of his entire canon event, if you will, that being the Flashpoint.
Yeah.
So I mean, he does have some level of power there, but I think he's that perfect level of street tier hero that can still, get into intergalactic related insanity, which is what I like about the Flash. That he can dive into those topics.
Yeah, I like him.
It's also
stopping a criminal of the week. I like that. That is so much more fun. And seeing like the way over time people have made him a kinder, softer, caring person, not just a beat him up with a quip kind of guy, but like, how's your mama doing? I thought you weren't doing this anymore. What happened? Oh, I lost my job, and the bills keep coming, and they've made him a much cooler character now that I could really, really get behind and support. And I dig him. I dig him.
Yeah, I really like that idea about the Flash just being caring and kind, even to his own villains. Like there was that one episode of Justice League where he's just like, it's like, come on, man, you're off your meds again. You have the costume on. Do
I?
Like, oh, what'd you look at? It's like, hey, listen.
Finish your drink and then turn yourself back in. Sure. He got me again, Flash. Oh, I love that.
Got me again, Flash.
God, that was so beautiful. And just made him such a beautiful, caring character. And like him stopping and asking, that lady if she tried the ointment he recommended. And, like he's really paying attention and cares in a way none of the other characters do.
In all honesty, he is the friendly neighborhood hero that, the DC universe really needs.
And, and Superman can pretend, but Superman ain't really remembering everybody's name. Flash is out there really putting in the work and caring about people. And not that Clark doesn't care, but like, I think he's more like, yeah, I remember you, than like, yeah, of course I remember you, man. We talked about your mom for 2 hours that day.
Like that was the longest 2 hours of my life, but honestly, worth it. Linda was amazing. Her cookies, best ones I've ever tried. Superman even recommended them. I remember he ended up having a kryptonite effect that made him buzzed off his mind, and he was able to smell those. The interaction with Flash was not canon, but Superman smelling cookies that were so good that he was able to smell them through the freaking tower or the Justice Tower up in space, that's canon. That is an actual event that happened in books, which I think is hilarious.
See, that's the one thing I would love. I don't really care. I have no desire to work for Marvel or DC, except for the fact that I would love to be able to say, I added something to the canon of a character that was beautiful. Like there's some stories that are just gorgeous, like that one Batman story where he crosses that deaf kid and who's looking for his dog, and he stops and helps the kids find his dog, and then at the end you see him putting the help me find my dog poster on the bat wall with like 100 other found dog posters that he's helped with over the years. And, that little thing that's just a little one-off side story, but that somebody got to add in to Batman's mythos, that he cares enough to stop and regularly help people find their lost animals, is beautiful. And I would like to be able to say someday that, Superman does XYZ because I put that in there. Or hell, Buona Beast does this one particular thing because I put that in there. I would be fine with that, Stiltman always shows up to frickin' for Make-A-Wish to meet kids that want to meet a supervillain. Like whatever it is, like I would like to be able to.
Or like he's an ex-supervillain, but then decides to go to. Oh, that'd be cute. That'd actually be.
I would love to be able to say I added, this beautiful thing to the story, and it's part of who they are now. But
will we ever get those opportunities? The world may never know.
If I was given an opportunity there, that would be my main thing, would be to add something nice to it, not just like, oh, I got to leave my mark, but like, I want to leave it better than I found it. That's what I would want to do.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe next time we should totally do just our own take on some of the classic characters, that of Marvel and DC. Maybe, we just give them a good old redesign.
Roll up some random characters and roll up maybe some random attributes to go with it, like what kind of world are we fitting them into, or are we changing this, that, or the other about them, or giving them or taking away a power, or there's all kinds of possibilities. Sound off in the comments and let us know what you think we should do.
Oh yeah, that'd be always a blast, and plus it always challenges us to always strive to do better. And I mean, those are always interesting things. Again, little did we know that we're going to be rolling up a relatively similar character, but now we're doing two completely different things. An avatar of the spirit of the hunt and the avatar of all nature and good, but actually being born into such a situation, not really being, gifted such, invulnerability.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love this big old fat farm boy.
All right, hold on. I got it. Let me.
I so want to do a story with this dude now. Just this big honking homie. It's just this sweet dude that just wants to help people, even though he's fully convinced it's going to kill him eventually. Like what bullet is he going to jump in front of when his invulnerability runs out? But when the forces of evil are pointing a cannon at the people marching in the streets, he has to stand in front of that and take it. But which time's going to be his last? I love the idea of that. Just this sort of like, well, Ma, what am I going to do? Am I going to not stand in front of it? I couldn't live with myself. I'm already in love with this dude. And I just drawn the one picture of you.
And to think you were like so bummed out about the idea of having to draw a full blown
hero.
You were so bummed on the idea of drawing a hero, but then now you're over here like I'm glad I am drawing the hero.
In his defense, he's not a hero. He ain't a tights wearing kind of hero. Like he's just a dude put in the position hero. But I love that. Like that's the kind of thing I like not non-conformist.
See, heroes come in many shapes and sizes,
not cookie cutter. I don't want it to just be, your average everyday story. I want it to be something new. And the idea of him just being a boy that's trying to help,
It's a really soft and a really nice notion to realize that he's a hero, but in a different way. And again, that's why I love Roll for Hero, because I was not expecting to draw half or if not any of the things that we have been drawing thus far. Why I love the series so much. Is because even coming up with such crazier concepts and crazier worlds and whatnot. And again, for a solid 2 to like 1.5 to let's be honest, 2.5 hours, given how often we yap about these ideas.
Yeah, we tend to go a little long,
But it's like,
but you know,
I mean, but that goes to show you the investment we have in these characters and how much we want to see their kind of stories come to life.
And not for nothing, y'all are sitting there hanging out with us too, watching, agging us on. So you know, it's not just our fault. Y'all are taking part too, and I'm glad to have y'all along for the ride.
This is true. This is true. Y'all also are the reason why y'all don't get to work on time the morning of. You know, you can't blame us for that.
Cedric asked a while ago, what did you think about the Demon Slayer movie? Have you seen it?
Unfortunately, I have canceled any variations of subscriptions. I know that this isn't on a subscription because I know it's on theaters. I don't really have the time to go to theaters as much because now those are more like planned out events. And if so, I would, take more of my fiance and whatnot. I haven't seen it, but I have heard good things about it. That is it. I love anime, but there are times where unfortunately I cannot watch my favorite shows. I mean, heck, I had to cancel all my subscriptions now because I'm just trying to save money for my wedding.
Oh, I remember the days. I remember. I can't think of any other thing to go on with the song for that because it wasn't in September or anything like that. I can't think of any way to make it like 150 years ago in September.
All right, let's see. We're gonna probably get some of these little dirty yellow buttons there. There we go. Mine looks. Oh man, Ivan the Invulnerable. I happen to be the world's greatest hunter.
Ivan the Invulnerable.
I don't know why.
And Todd. Hunter of Todd.
Hunter of Todd. I shall strike thee.
Oh.
Like you. What is your name, boy?
I'm Todd.
I'm Todd, sir. Well, sir, my name is
Actually,
Todd.
it's Todd, but
Well,
nobody
then.
calls me that.
Whatever you are, prepare to be hunted by Ivan the Invulnerable, world-renowned hunter extraordinaire.
I'd rather not.
And I rather do. How about thee?
Yikes. Oh my god, I'm loving this boy so much. Just and I'm gonna admit I'm giving him super strength. I'm not giving him chunk of train super strength, but I am giving him probably pick up an early steam automobile with some effort strength, not Spider-Man strength, but pretty strong,
Like Captain America's level of
yeah.
strength.
I want him to be able to chunk some stuff at people and, be able to yeet people up onto a 4th floor balcony to save them or something. But not, I don't know, not crazy strong, but also be able to withstand taking a hit from something big like a train and be able to climb his way out of the wreckage without a problem. Cedric said Demon Slayer was an excellent movie. I only started the anime, and then I didn't get very far because there's not a lot of things. I don't have a lot of time to watch shows with my eyes. Now, there are some animes that are really good about talking everything through and just standing there talking for an entire episode while it slow zooms up and down somebody's body as they're standing there waiting for the next person to throw a punch for the whole episode. And I can listen and enjoy the story enough and look up every once in a while when there's flashes and something's happening. But other ones are not like that. And I could not keep up with Demon Slayer without actually watching the screen. And if I'm watching the screen, I'm not drawing. And so I couldn't keep up with it for very long. And I was like, I got to find something else to watch because You got to make the money.
Yeah, I think that's the thing with me is like as much as I want to pay attention to the thing, I'm also primarily drawing, and I want to appreciate all the animation bits and whatnot. But I know that it's really difficult to appreciate the animation if you're so busy having to like draw or whatever. Because I know that in your case too. I mean, you got to do all those commission works and such. For me, it's more like I just want to make sure I focus on the drawing.
Yeah. Well, for me, other than right now, if I'm drawing, I'm doing it for money. So I've got to be making those bills, making them payments, and so that's what I are doing all the time. Man,
I want to see if I could try to create like this brass effect, because or at least this kind of a shiny gold looking metal effect here. There we go. Good enough, I guess. There we go. We're in like these strange brass-like, okay, I think I can make that work. Well, I don't want to say that I got my guy done, but
yeah,
I think I did.
I'm trying to think of what else to do to this guy, but I think I've pretty much got him, at least for this image, as far as I'm going to get him. I'm probably going to still do a cover for him, and I'll make him look cool. But I did not do that for the other monster, because the other monster took me the whole freaking show to get as far as I did in 2 hours. And I didn't want to do that all over again. So I haven't done it. Plus,
yeah.
I immediately turned around after the show and started packing for the con that I had to leave to the next morning. And somehow I knew all month that I had to pack for the con. And I knew that we were going to leave on Wednesday, and I knew we had our show on Wednesday. And for like the 2 weeks before, my wife is like, be sure you got to remember to pack for the con. It's like, of course I'm going to pack for the con. And, it's not a problem. I'm going to do the show, and then I'm going to throw some clothes in a bag and be gone. I made sure I had laundry done and all that stuff. I'm good to go. It did not occur to me until like 8 o'clock at night, Wednesday night, that pack for the con meant I have to pack all the books and stickers and posters and banners and chairs and all of the crud that I dragged to cons with me. For some reason, I was only thinking I had to pack my clothes. I don't know why. This isn't my first time, but it is only my second time this year, because I've only gone to 2 cons this year, because I'm trying to pay down the credit cards from last year's cons. And so, yeah, I was absolutely out of my depth and really kind of biffed it on that. But, yeah, so
don't worry about it. I just sent you my image and whatnot. We have saying, speaking of doing kinds of things over here, speaking of doing kinds of things that they always will do, I have a speedster character that volunteers at his neighborhood church to serve hot soup and meals to the homeless. That's cute. I actually would love to see that. And then we also have another one saying, believe it or not, Mr. Fish, I found your Facebook page and I wanted to send my work artwork there, but I did not, because I did not know how you would feel about that.
I'll tell you how I would feel about that. I'd be perfectly fine with it. I might not be able to answer right away every time, because I'm also like working on stuff all day long. But yeah, man, send your stuff over. Let me see it. I'd love to.
Never be afraid,
Yeah.
And also to Rodrigo Padilla, am I going to do a public domain version of Morbius? Potentially. I mean, vampires are a very common kind of a monster that's always being used in all of pop culture and whatnot. I know that Morbius is a really different situation, kind of like him and Blade. They're very like unique kinds of vampires. So I don't know if I'm going to make it like a public domain or an ultra value. And I also need to clarify. I want to probably start, clarifying whether or not something is ultra value, meaning that it is a 100% ultra comics, original take on such a character, or public domain, meaning that I take something that kind of exists and then just kind of modify the crap out of it to make it something else entirely different. So potentially, yes, this is my character, Ivan the Invulnerable. the legendary hunter of all divinely scary specimens that lie upon our world. Like this one time, I met this strange pink lady with 4 arms. She managed to get away from my grasp, but I will soon catch her as soon as I finish my challenge to apprehend Todd.
Hi, I'm Todd.
I love Todd. I
Oh my
love Todd. He is such a sweet
He's
boy.
just such a big old boy. It's not his fault. His fists are the size of his head. He was born that way. Man, he was born with 2 spoons in his mouth. I just
Honestly, and for me, I always try to find ways to connect some of these characters together. It's kind of like how when we ended up doing Psy Beast and Red Paw, like I loved how we were able to tie it to hold on, Red Paw and Cyberclaw. Remember when we were making the Cougar villain, that we were trying to tie my rendition of the character Red Paw to the first Roll for Hero character I've done, which was Psy Beast. So like, in that case, those exist in their own separate situation. And like in this one, because it's a steampunk setting, I'm already thinking about, your alien character and my alien character living in our own, situation. Maybe this is now a shared universe as like, my alien character is living on the Western frontier. Yours is living on the European side of things. And they're having to stop an alien interaction, an alien invasion. But then all of a sudden there's a hunter who is the spirit of, being, what's it called? My character, who's the spirit of the hunter avatar. And then you got Todd, the invulnerable man who's just wanting to do good. Like that is already a
be happy to help team up with Cadence in a heartbeat. And oh yeah, it'll help, folks. I'm happy to. And I would love to see those 2 guys working together. Both of them a little bit oblivious in their own ways of what's going on around them.
Oh my god, the perfect oblivious duo.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's the thing. Now you have to draw a cover. In my opinion, I will definitely do my part as well because I would love to draw Todd, Ivan the Invulnerable. Then we also happen to have Shelbyville and what was it? Because your character had a really unique name. What was it again?
Yeah, I named him after my grandson because Cadence has to do with music, and I just love the lyrical like movements and stuff of the airbender type vibes that he has, and so I got to name it after my grandson. So,
Hey, listen, you know what? That's actually beautiful. We love it. We're here for it. Now we get to create. Now I like the idea of the fact that we have just unintentionally built up the steampunk universe, in my opinion, because I like the idea that this universe can be built up a little bit more and whatnot. And I just love it. I love Todd over here. Todd is just an amazing character. He's just simple. He's beautiful. He's simple, and we love him.
He's just a big unbreakable boy. That's all he is. Not his fault. And I just love the fact of him just being a nice, simple guy. It's just like, well, yeah, I can help. Why wouldn't I? If a neighbor needs help building a barn, I'm gonna go help them. Somebody's shooting at that nice lady over there, I'm gonna go stand in the way. Them bullets ain't gonna hurt me none. Why would you not? And just getting swept up, like I could totally see him completely out of his depth in some giant political firestorm nightmare of like the people are fighting against, a tyrannical government like the French Revolution kind of thing. And he's just in the middle of it. Like, I'm just trying to keep anybody from getting hurt. Y'all need to settle down.
Then you got Cadence, Featherwind over here being like, well, I'm simply trying my best to make sure that we have efficient energy. Well, Todd, you happen to be a fine, fit fellow for such an occasion as this. I need your brute strength of all things to see if I can help these people initiate a cause to create the world's finest and cleanest and efficient of energy. I had it on my planet, and I wanted to spread here. I also met this crazy pink lady not too far off in the galaxy next to mine. Shelbyville, I think she goes by. She's not really fitting in with the locals, but she's managing. I think she's on the Western frontier.
The problem is we didn't come up with a good villain for Cadence or Shelbyville, really. Like there's not a known thing for them to fight. And this is honestly a little bit more fun having something for somebody to be coming after him causing a problem and something for him to have to try and fix, even though I love it.
I was gonna say, because on my side of things, the way that I'm thinking about it, like we're thinking like, because I remember for you when you were coming up with Cadence, you were coming up with the idea of like him trying to create clean and efficient energy. So using proper steam power, not always having to use like coal or whatever, or like all that kind of stuff. So I can see like a bunch of business tycoons, and maybe some business tycoons would have like big, heavy muscle, if you will, and maybe some of those other heavier muscles could rely, like on Todd having to fight them off, or being like, "Sir, please don't. I don't want to do none of this. Come on now." Sir, please just no.
Just if you don't quit swinging, somebody's fixing to get hurt, and I'm afraid it's you, son. I'm. If you don't stop, I'm gonna have to stop you, and I don't want to do that.
No, so here's the thing. Actually, there are technical villains to each of our stories, because for you, it's the oil tycoons for Cadence Featherwind and his whole situation, trying to keep fossil fuels alive and burning the energy and hurting the environment for the sake of profit. Shelbyville's whole situation is her people who are actually alien conquerors. So she's using her ability of electricity. Not only that, creating the first electrical engine in the Western frontier, kind of a situation. I don't know why I thought of her being more of like a Western cowgirl, kind of a steampunk situation on that side of things. And then you got aliens from her planet trying to invade, and then now you have Ivan the Invulnerable just kind of being like not really caring about any of that, just wants to kill for the thrill.
I like him. I like the idea of him aligning himself with the oil barons and stuff in it's all fine to me to watch it all burn, kind of attitude. As long as I get a good hunt out of the fire, I'm fine with it. You can burn the world down around us. And I kind of like that idea of their causes aligning enough for him to work with them. And, because them causing destruction is going to bring out people like Cadence Featherwind and Todd for him to be able to hunt down and get good sport out of it. And I think that would be cool.
True. Now I want to develop the steampunk universe, man. Now I want to go more into this. Oh, I love it.
I'm telling you, man, that is the problem with the creativity exercises, man. Is it gives you ideas.
Sometimes you end up coming up with better ideas. Sometimes the ideas just tend to take full form. Who knows? If anything, I could turn this into a concept corner where I can talk about the idea of potentially turning this into an entire one-shot webtoon type situation. I'm honestly also leaning towards potentially diving into webtoons and then going from there, converting the webtoons into a comic kind of a thing and to a proper book. I'm really leaning on that whole notion. But other than that, though, I love Todd. Todd is look at this boy, sweet boy. And then we have Chaos Junkie Ivan the Invulnerable, which it's like you got to appreciate the insanity that these two bring to the to this whole steampunk world. Oh man,
I love the idea of him.
And even crazier. Here's something that goes even crazier. What if it turns out your poison monster was actually a result of the oil tycoon's endeavors? Bring it together.
Oh man, that would be horrible. Oh god, and then
I know. But then there's sometimes
I'm gonna have to go punch.
We got over here. So then we have Dadpool saying, your uncle, your Hunter reminds me of Jumanji. Yes, that was my first inspiration when I thought of Hunter. That was the first thing that popped into my head was oh yeah, the Hunter from Jumanji. It was the perfect idea, especially in a steampunk world. It fits way too well. Then we have over here by Dragon Gaming for 59 steampunk team up. The steampunk team. I agree. Again, that's just me kind of trying to connect all the characters together because again, that's the joy and the fun of Roll for Hero. And then you've also stated Ivan could be hunting all three of them because they are unique prey for him to hunt.
Oh yeah, that would be.
He's a shared villain.
And a really good reason for him to team up with the bad guys that are trying to kill Cadence anyway, and good reason for to draw Todd out of hiding and get Shelbyville out of the Wild West, and that could be a wild adventure across the whole country, the whole world, even really. Him chasing them.
Yeah, across the whole steam-powered world. We get to see the European side of things, the American side of things, even the more Oriental. I don't know if that's a controversial thing. The Oriental side, the Asian side of things. Again, to see steam power
travel
on
the whole world,
that
man.
kind of side.
They could travel the rail lines all the way around the world, like go from Asia to India, you know, through Russia and stuff into Europe, and you know, back with him hunting them the whole way, picking up characters and stuff along the way.
Oh my God.
That could be.
This is like the way that this world is structured. It feels like a steampunk pulp style kind of universe. And I always wanted to dive into pulp. I love the pulp genre. It's really, really interesting. Or the way that we defined it now, because originally it was just a bunch of short stories. Like that's what pulp is.
But that's kind of what I like about Todd. Like he's got that pulp hero vibe of, you know, he's just a dude. He's just a dude that has an amazing ability for whatever reason, and he doesn't have to put on trunks on the outside of his britches to, you know, be a hero. He's just a boy, and you know, can go out and do amazing things. Like Tintin is just a boy going out doing amazing things, and you know, it's just I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh, actually, here's a fun fact that some of y'all do or don't know, and this could tie into the public domain stuff on my channel. But Tintin, the very first rendition of him, as well as Popeye, who was once a comic strip character, those characters are now in the public domain. Do your homework and research, but those characters are in the public domain. I would love to. Oh, that should totally be our next situation for Roll for Hero. We should roll who ends up doing Popeye, who does Tintin.
Man, what would you even do with Tintin besides just redraw him, though? I mean...
Nah, listen, go all out crazy. You know, there's the Valiant universe, I think it was, the Valiant Comics universe, and there's like that immortal character, and then there's like this other, I forgot, I'm not really keen on that universe, but I know that one of them was the immortal. There was another guy who's like raised with monks or whatever, and they go on these crazy, weird, mystical adventures. I can totally see that happening, especially with Popeye being like an old sailor or something like that. I would love to say that for a whole different video, and getting to expand upon this steampunk universe and getting to like dive more into it, seeing Popeye being like a proper sailor, and you know, getting to maybe have his cabin boy be Tintin, teaming up with Todd, and somehow they interact with two aliens and what. I love this steampunk universe. I need to see more with this.
They have to get on a steamboat that's piloted by a little black mouse, whistling the day away.
Or if anything, that's. Or if anything, oh wait, hold on. Wait, we got another one over here. We got Shelbyville could have her own electrical train that she powers and travels the world, meeting each of the characters, and her train doubles as her spaceship. Oh, brother!
Oh man, and
that is actually the coolest idea. By far, I didn't even think of that.
Because Cadence has to get here through like a steam-powered ship to get here anyway. So, like, if she had an electric train and he had a starship that they could, you know, switch off using for whatever they need.
Or, like, weirdly enough, they end up combining their forces together to create the ultimate, like, you know, some type of vehicle. Oh my God, that would be that'd be so cool. It would look like at first it could look like a steam power, like the typical locomotive, but maybe adding more of a steampunkish alien kind of effect to it. I'm going crazy. I'm loving this.
I see Cadence's steam-powered stuff looking like a lot of like blown glass tubing and stuff, and like cool shapes and things, almost like a mix between like a French horn and a crack pipe. Kind of is what I see. Like, you know, being able to have like clean combustion and be able to see what they're doing so they can use their wind bending skills and stuff to help make it more efficient and work and stuff.
And then for Shelbyville, I can totally see something along the lines of like the Tesla coil, you know, like again, the first forms of electricity being utilized in her side of like, you know, the galaxy. Now having to implement electricity in the Western frontier.
Streaks of lightning everywhere she goes, like, as her train's going. That would be epic.
Oh my God, that would be so interesting. And then not only that, they could develop solar power or creating the green efficient energy that would eventually pilot, you know, a whole world of innovation there.
It's stupid, but the Super Friends toy line, like in the 80s, the DC toys, had the dumbest vehicle of all time, but oh my God, I loved it so much. And it's been stuck in my brain ever since. And I've always wanted to create a not stupid ripoff of it. but essentially it was like this attack train, and then it had this gigantic wheel of train track that it sat in. So the train, like this evil train car thing, is moving along, and this giant tracked wheel is rolling over everything in its path, and the little train car just keeps on going. And I loved the concept of being able to take a train anywhere you wanted to go. I think something better than having a big giant wheel of track is the way to go. But like I've tried playing with the idea of mixing like a steam powered train with like bulldozer tracks or something, so that you could have something that could go on its own wherever you wanted it to go and over whatever terrain you wanted it to go over, and stuff would be cool. But yeah, I don't know.
Oh man, that would
There's
be.
something there. It's just finding the right mix of things.
Oh my gosh, I would love to dive more into this whole steampunk universe. Hold on, we got another one from Dragon Gaming. Would like to see concept corner video about the steampunk universe you guys are making. Now you see that would be a lot of fun, but I'm actually making a concept corner for something else at the moment. So again, I'm just kind of chucking. Again, here at Roll for Hero, we're just chucking ideas at the wall and seeing what kind of sticks. And so far, again, for me, I'm the one kind of being like, I want to connect all the steampunk characters together.
I
want
like
to
it when
connect all
stuff
the-
connects and it fits and it works together. Like that's my core thinking when I'm designing a character. When you get all those random powers, is how do I make them work together into one thing? Which was actually kind of fun with Todd, with him just having the one thing. Like, you know, what does that do if that's all he's got? You know, if he's not super fast, he's not super smart, he's not the biggest or the brightest or the toughest, he can't jump higher than a hay bale. But by George, he's tough. You know, he's unbreakable. So, you know, just the I'm willing to stand in the way. I'm willing to be a wall in front of you and protect you because that's the one thing I know I can do. You know, I might not be able to stop the whole building from collapsing on you, but I can get between you and the fire. I can get between you and the cannon, or you and the bullets, and, you know, stick my hand in the wheat thresher before you go in and, you know, save you. I can do that. I can take the hit you can't take. And I love the selflessness that makes him when he's not everything. He's not super smart. He can't build robots to take his place and stuff like Superman. He's just tough. And I dig that.
He's just Todd the toughie, Tuffy Todd. And then not only that, having to be hunted down by one of the world's most psychotic. Hello there, by the way, Destin Blue. Nice to meet you. Made that rhyme. Anyways, but being hunted down by, you know, Ivan the Invulnerable is one of the most like interesting like concepts. And then not only that, him being like, just I don't care, I can see the world burn for all I care. Like him actually being like teaming up with the villains of this world, being like, look, as long as I get to get my kill, I'm good. Could Todd get stronger?
Maybe. I mean, I kind of like the idea somebody shouted out earlier of it being, of his limitations sort of being a mental block thing. Like, I kind of like the idea
I was gonna mention that.
of his strength maybe being a mental block. Like every once in a while, he does some amazing feat that just seems, you know, out of this world, but he was so scared and so desperate to help somebody that he just, you know, chunked that steam engine car, you know, over the hillside. But, you know, the rest of the time, it's just a mental thing stopping him from getting there. But when he's really scared, I like that idea a lot of, you know, giving him that. And, we got an idea about the train wheels here. The wheels of the train could convert into thrusters, so it can lift into the air, and with the clean energy becomes the thruster to push it to wherever it wants to go. Okay. See, I smell what you're stepping in, Dragon Gaming. And my thought is, like, you know, what if we take her electrical powers and those wheels, like, fold over a la Back to the Future 3 on that train, and, like, they become, like,
and just
turbines that are shooting down, like, electricity and, like, lift it up off the ground, and then it can fly. That would be cool.
That would be very interesting. I would definitely need to take time to make a whole concept corner about that alone. I mean, just to get my thought process in on that whole situation, or at least get my ideas on that concept. Because obviously, you got a lot of stuff going on there. I'm not gonna like say, "Oh, I did this for all of us," but like, because like I said, I'm gonna do concept corner for. Well, I guess for those who want to stick around for Friday, I'm gonna do a whole video talking about a webtoon manhwa concept called Food Truck Kaiju Hunters. It's going to be a total blast. Mr. Fish got to see at least one of those character ideas, or at least one fully rendered like concept, and then one that's still in the sketching phase because I love that idea. I'm going to wait for Friday to pop in on that one, but I do not mind the idea of like working on that whole steampunk universe. Honestly, I want to figure out, like right now in this stream, we need to come up with a name for the steampunk universe, just so we can kind of give it its own thing. Got that?
Yes, he's driving me up the freaking wall. The camera's probably too dark for y'all to see, but the freaking gnat has been bugging me in here all day. I would love to come up with some kind of overarching name for this.
I would, for some reason, the first thing that popped in was just calling it the Gear. Like this universe is simply known as the Gear. Hold on, was thinking Back to the Future. Oh wait, I was thinking Back to the Future style. Love those movies. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hello there, Arthur. How we doing?
What am I?
How you doing? But I don't know why the thing that bothers my mind is calling the steampunk universe just the Gear. Because when I think of steampunk, I think of the gears and like all the train stuff, clockwork stuff. But again, that's just the Steam team.
Oh my god.
You win on that.
Oh my god!
You win on that one.
I love that. I could just see them all like.
I feel like that would be
like Charlie's Angels. Oh my god!
Oh my god! You kidding me? You got Featherwind on one side. You got Shelbyville on the other, and then you got Todd in the middle. And then you have like the one like sniping down on all of them like that. Oh, that'd be so.
That would be cool.
Oh my god! At some point we should probably do a whole like roll for vehicle type situation to kind of see like what vehicles we should dive into.
Oh my god, I would hate that. We got to do it. I would absolutely hate that.
We have to.
I hate drawing.
I mean, listen, I don't like drawing vehicles either.
I hate drawing vehicles. I hate trying to draw like perfect circles for wheels. I hate trying to keep stuff consistent. If I only have to draw it one time, it's a whole lot of fun. If I have to draw it 1,000,000 times and try and keep it accurate, I absolutely hate it. But that's what makes it a fun challenge. But like one of my favorite things I've ever designed was my superhero Capital Punishment's motorcycle that he rides. And it sits super low. And essentially, like, he's sitting below the wheels. Like, the wheels are here, and then the seat rides almost on the ground. And then he has this giant, like, car engine between his legs. And and is steering it from in here. He's got his legs wrapped around that car engine, and his butt's just like right off the ground, which for a very, very old man is a bad place to have your seat, but it keeps the center of gravity low and lets him just haul butt. And if he falls, he ain't got far to fall. But it's just this crazy V8 engine with like two big 4-wheeler tires and a seat. And it's all like strapped right down to the ground like a street luge. And he's just hauling butt on it. And I love it. I even had a guy make a 3D model of it so I could draw it from any angle I wanted to. And then proceeded to draw one image of it, put it in a folder, and forget about it. And went on to do a whole other set of stories instead of showing him drive that freaking motorcycle. But it's epic. And I love it.
Funnily enough, I also happen to have I have a character for my comic book, The Unbeatables, that I have like a Power Ranger adjacent character by the name of the Emerald Turtle. Now, in this universe, he's like a Chinese-based kind of character, and he's also part of a team of other, turtle adjacent, ranger-like heroes, and of course, they need to pilot giant, turtle-based, vehicles. But then the hard part,
form up a lily pad. It's turtle adjacent. Money log.
No, I'm talking like they're all like turtle based. They're all looking like
I
turtles.
know
So,
what
of
you
course,
meant.
for the
It's
green,
just
the
the
emerald turtle.
adjacent tickled me so much. I apologize. Continue.
Listen, I had a pet turtle. We named her Lily because she did look like a lily pad at first because she was that flat, and then eventually she started bulking up. But no, so for the emerald turtle, he had this. Obviously, it was a vehicle that would transform into like a part of something, and I think in this case, like he would probably make like probably they have their own suits that transform into their own like singular robot, then transforms into like a part of the giant robot or something like that. But I have not drawn a single vehicle mode of that in any way, shape, or form at all, because I haven't really gotten around to that. I'll have to explore that in the story, and I'm also thinking about doing some other stuff, but that's for concept corner. But honestly, I think this is more or less a pretty good time to kind of. I mean, I guess in comparison, this is cutting it short too. I think this was like
little quick, character creation corner episode of Roll for Hero. Here we got this knocked out quickity quick, but when you got good ideas, it don't take long to get them down. And and Todd's just a simple boy. He don't need a lot of complexities, patterns on his fabrics or whatnot. He's a simple fella. All he needs is some muck boots and some gloves, and he's good to go. Oh God, I love him so much.
Oh my God, I think I might do an entire video solely dedicated to drawing an entire poster of all the steampunk characters that we've created thus far, and just creating like a movie style poster.
My only thing is, I wonder if you don't need to be redheaded. That's my only thing. Is I kind of think you need bright orange hair.
Redheaded. Hey, could the Emerald Turtle have an arch nemesis? He does. Not really. He doesn't have one, just because he's a Power Ranger villain, or a Power Ranger hero, I should say. But in his context, given what he fights, it's more like monsters. So he doesn't really fight a particular common enemy. He just fights off monsters, which actually happen to be something much darker. But that's a different story for a different day. So I honestly think this is more or less a really good time to kind of cap off here at Roll for Hero. Oh, look at that. Beautiful red hair. We love it.
Fix it. Gotta put a little highlights on there right quickity quick. There we go. And now we got us an old ginger farm boy. Yeah. He can take a whooping. He can take a whooping and keep on going. I love it. All right. Give him an old song.
This was like the most simple yet the most like fun. Like this is the most easiest. Weird to say, it's the easiest Roll for Hero I think we've experienced thus far. Given how every other Roll for Hero we've dove into such like intricacies and made it borderline 2 hours, which this stream almost is. But the fact that we kind of got an idea of what we wanted here, just the fact that we made very simple characters. We didn't go too far into their designs. They're just very simple characters. And that's actually a really fun thing about it
too, because like far too often we got way too many powers, and to just have the one makes it real interesting. What are you going to do with that? And I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So that was actually I think that's what made this entire process much more like easier much more easy to really work with. Just because that when we're making Shelbyville and Featherwind, we were having to create characters that had like a multitude of powers. So we're like, how are we going to make all this work? There are times, again, the cougar-based villain that we ended up doing that one episode.
Power from the
there was not a lot, but still a good chunk of things being tossed in there. So we're like, how the heck are we going to dive into that? And then same thing with this. So like not really the same thing with this one. This one was just, it was simple. You have one power set in the steampunk world. Characters like this, have at it. And again, the joy of Roll for Hero. Sometimes we're going to roll up the most craziest out there concept, like a cougar-based.
We could have gone any direction with this. Like,
exactly.
If I would have been doing the villain and I got invulnerability, he probably either would have been dead already and you can't really hurt him, or like a ghost or something, or one of those dudes that like you can kill him and then he'll just get reborn somewhere else and come back after you. Like, I mean, that's the way I probably would have gone with it. Or, something completely out of left field. But having to do a hero, also that was a little more limiting. But I love the limitation of, his power is going to run out. And that makes it that much more heroic, that he's willing to risk himself every time, knowing that there's time limit on what he's got to give. And damn it, Todd, you're beautiful. I love you, boy.
It's crazy to think, and I'm kind of glad. I'm glad I chose the villain, because again, we had to, like, I think what I love about Rover, again, just to kind of like try to summarize it, I love the fact that we try to just like get out of our comfort zone. Rolling these characters was like there are some times where we definitely fell into our comfort zones. Right, the cougar based one was we definitely fell into that one. That was like, oh, perfect. This falls in the world of guys in tights. We love it. But again, one of the characters we ended up drawing, like especially for me in particular, because I have done Roll for Hero beforehand, you know, making this something else. But I never thought I would have drawn an Aztec based, you know, dark brooding hero who has elemental controls, and then thinking of an entire situation with that. I never thought I would draw a man who would actually have magical based powers and sorcery, and the personality type was that he would eat a lot. But then Mr. Fish took that to a whole direction in creating a dude that just straight up like turns into something or other, depending on what he eats. I never thought I would draw a 4-armed pinked alien girl that lives in a steampunk world, or a cougar based supervillain, or a slime monster that's all poison and whatnot. Or again, even drawing whatever the heck this crazy abomination is. Roll for Hero is a ton of fun, and I love the fact that we get to dive into all of these very unique ideas. You know, like, again, these are ideas that could become full-blown, like, franchises if dealt with the correct people. Like, you're telling me that some of these ideas over here wouldn't potentially be some of the best, you know, like, characters we would have interacted with in, like, video games, comic books, movies, even TV shows?
Oh, yeah. I can totally see her as a Spider-Man villain up there with the Rhino or
100%.
Scorpion. Like, she could totally fill in there, no problem.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, with my character over here with Red Paw, I can totally see this being like a DC adjacent villain for maybe Superman or potentially Wonder Woman and whatnot, you know? And, you know, like with the other characters, like, again, Oak Fang over here being a character I never would have thought of drawing to begin with. And again, with no references, nothing in mind or anything like that. So this was actually like, this is a ton of fun. It really gets the brain going. I love Roll for Hero for this. And if you guys want to join in, and if you guys want to roll up a character for yourselves, please roll up a character. Go to Google, use Google Dice if you need to, but roll up a character for yourself. And if you have the drawing, or if you have the Hero Forge model, or if you have the means to create the character, post it on social media, hashtag Roll for Hero, hashtag ROLL, the number 4 HERO. Use that on every social media platform because we want to take your art and to show it off here. I want to see all the amazing potential ideas that y'all could come up with just simple dice rolls and your imagination. I'm going crazy. Sound like a motivational speaker. Getting all fired up right now. I need to cool
Absolutely. Drop them in there. Let us know. We'd love to see what you're drawing. We'd love to share it on the show. And you can follow us both. All of our links are in the description for the video. Give us a follow. Esteban is putting out amazing stuff on YouTube all week long, doing all kinds of cool stuff. I'm trying to put out at least a video a week. I missed Mondays because I was traveling back from Ohio. But I'm working on it, and you can catch us on TikTok and everywhere else. Check us out in all the places. And we will see you next week. You good to go, man?
Well, I think this is the best time to end off our show here. So to all of you fellow little nieces and nephews and weirdos in between, make sure to follow these 3 simple rules. Make sure to stay awesome, stay weird, and to keep life to the easiest. And always remember that art inspires all, but you can inspire more. And always remember, your uncles love you.
Roll for Hero!
You know, and even if you were to have like a prompt of 10 different things, right? Like say if you had one prompt of like, oh, like here's 10 different personality traits, here's 10 different superpowers, here's 10 different drawbacks.
I like coming up with random list of powers and then just see what I come up with.
Imagine rolling just those things every single time. It's always going to vary. You know, the possibility of that happening is, again, like a 1 in 10 chance, but it's like,